Bostock. So he's on his way. And you guys know Rosa, his wife. I know Milton had to work, so he's on his way here. So I'm going to jump right into the questions. I have some questions that I prepared that I'm going to ask you. We're just going to bounce off of each other. And maybe at some point towards the end, we might get some conversations from the crowd. Amen?
Sounds good.
All right. So first question. Now, your expertise or the lane in which you have chosen to coach or counsel has been specifically towards women, right? And I thought that was, again, a little different because you are, as a male, speaking to women. So my question to you was, why do you coach women?
I coach women because I feel called to do it. I feel as a man, it's our duty and obligation to lead. And I feel like a lot of women have been placed into toxic, dysfunctional relationships as a result of poor leadership. I personally have been exposed to this through my aunts, my mother, many women throughout my family and community.
Right.
Beautiful women, awesome women, incredible women. What's the common denominator? Poor leadership.
Wow.
And then what happens is those awesome women have sons. Where do those sons get their leadership? From a woman who got poor leadership. Because the father is either absent. In my case, my father died when I was 1 year old. They're either absent, dead, in jail, abusive, or just not instrumental. Either way, the woman is tasked with being the feminine and the masculine. And she can only teach what she knows. So if she's being taught by her abusive or absent or not instrumental father, and then she tries to escape that through a man that she's hoping, praying, and wishing will lead her the right way. And here's the thing, ladies, with men who lack poor leadership, they're often a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun because they're using the excitement and the adventure to compensate for the lack of leadership that they have.
Wow. Okay, hold on. You got to slow down on that part. You got to slow down. You got to slow down.
That's it. And here's what happens. The woman is in pain. The woman is in pain at home from whatever's going on with daddy. Let's say daddy's not there. That's painful. So even if daddy was there, but daddy never taught you certain things, that's painful. Daddy never taught you that a man is supposed to do this, lead this way. That's painful, especially when you finally meet a man who shows you what leadership is. You start looking at your dad like, what were you doing all this time?
Wow.
So now you have to revisit the pain because daddy was a lot of fun. For a lot of daughters, daddy was a lot of fun. And this is where we got to be careful as fathers when we have daughters, is confusing them with this princess mode. Because in real life, you're not a princess. Listen, you're not, and this is not to offend any woman. None of the words coming out of my mouth are to offend any woman or any man. I'm just speaking on the reality. And that's what gets a lot of women in trouble is they're not living in reality, especially those women with princess daddies. When I was single and out there, I loved meeting those princesses, because I would show them a dose of reality. And what happened was they would be confused. They'd be like, wait a minute, I got this dad. He's fit, he's good looking, he's educated, he's career oriented, but this guy is running circles around me and I don't get it. I don't understand. She doesn't understand is because she's being led astray. That daddy is trying to show her fun and adventure and excitement because in his mind, he's thinking this is what a daddy's supposed to do, ain't it? It's like, no, you're supposed to be protecting her against all the other men that's out there.
Showing her the reality of the world
the
she's really getting into.
The reality of the world. And a lot of men, they sometimes they just don't know. They literally don't know what they're doing. And this is what women should be looking out for. And women ask me, well, what qualifies you to be a relationship coach or a relationship expert? I used to be the guy.
Say it. Tell the truth, shame the
I
devil.
used to be the guy to avoid.
Yes. You're the best person to listen to.
But here's the thing. I don't look like it, do I? I got trusting eyes, don't I? You look at me, look at those lashes. You know, I have the energy that makes you feel like I should trust this guy. So for a guy like me, which there are a lot of guys out there, all we got to do is walk into the room, wear clothes that fit, speak eloquently, and a woman will forget everything the Bible taught her. Everything she learned from the pastor. Everything she learned from her daddy. All to get a dose of whatever it is that guy is trying to offer her. And that is the danger. And I have that experience. This is not something that I read about. This is something I experienced. This is something that I personally have witnessed through several male influences in my life. And as a younger man, a part of me didn't understand why they were doing it. I was like, why can't you be with just one woman? This is the younger me, right. 12. I don't understand. Why can't you just be with just one woman? I don't get it. And at that stage in my life, I didn't even know how to approach a woman. But once I started to tap into understanding how to infiltrate, that's when I became dangerous. But then I had a son. Then I had a son, and I started to observe how he interacts, because his mother and I broke up when he was 2. He's 15 now. I started to observe, he started to repeat me, like my words, my action, the way I walk and all that stuff, and I was like, And then I thought about me when I was younger, how much like my brothers I became, my uncles and cousins, as much as I didn't want to. I was just surrounded by it, and I just became it. I said, I got to be careful with this responsibility that I have. I felt like I had a responsibility with my son. How he treats his mom, how he speaks to his mom, how I talk to his mom, how I treat his mom, because it was important to me, the type of man that he became. Wow. And it wasn't enough for me to just say it. I had to be it, because he can hear my words and listen to my words, but he's going to follow my actions.
That's right.
And this is what I tell women all the time. Never listen to a man's words. Always follow his actions.
That's right. I believe y'all heard me say that before. See, you giving them game. So he's actually giving you the game. Let me ask you another question. So you feel this call to coach women, which I think is important, but in the church world, a lot of times, and a lot of women can probably testify to this, it seems like most of the teachings that's tailored towards relationships focus on the woman. So a lot of times the women feel like, well, who's telling the man what he's supposed to do, right? I'm being told I'm supposed to be a virtuous woman. I'm told I'm supposed to be the helpmeet. I'm told I'm supposed to be all of this. But where is the information that's tailored towards the men? So my question to you now would be, why don't you coach men?
I want you ladies to get out your pen and paper, pull out your phone and pull out your notes, because I'm about to give you levels of coaching, because I do coach. You see how the kids just left?
Yeah.
They're about to get a different training than what they're getting right here.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's because of the age difference, correct?
Yeah.
So I have a son. Right now, he's in the training phase of coaching, and he's going to get that for 3 more years. He's 15. When he's 18, he's going to surpass the training stage of coaching that I offer. At 18, I'm then going to become a mentor to him. And he's going to get my mentorship from 18 to 25. At 25, that's when I'm going to hold him accountable for the training and the mentorship that he received for 25 years.
That's awesome.
Once he gets 25 to 32, that's where the accountability is. Here's the part that a lot of women don't do. When he gets 33, I'm going to observe how the training and mentorship and accountability has affected his life. After that, this is what I want you ladies to do. I'm going to lift him up in prayer, because I've already given him the training. I've already given him the mentorship. I've already held him accountable. At this point, it's Jesus' job to finish the work. So some of you ladies are meeting men who are 33 and they still don't get it, and you're still trying to work with them. Nah, You're supposed to lift that man up in prayer because he needs to go seek out training, mentorship, and accountability, just not through you.
Wow. So where's that leadership you talked about? Because when you started this off, you mentioned the very beginning that poor leadership is actually the cause or the result of a lot of the breakdowns that we see in the family. And the man who is supposed to be the leader, the head of the household, if he's lacking in that area in terms of how to be a good husband, how to be a good father, a good provider, then that obviously bleeds into every other area. So in terms of your advice for men, you believe that the coaching aspect, should it come from a father? Where should the men get that coaching from? Where do they turn to get that?
That's a really good question. If you're between the ages of 0 and 18, you should get it from your father. 18 to 25, you can get it from your father. Other men, 25, 30. At some point, it's God's job. If you, what's your name, brother? Jeffrey. You over the age of 33, right? I'm not training Jeffrey.
Right.
I'm not, God. God is your father. If you don't have a biological father, like my father died was one. I can't use that as an excuse. I can't use that as an excuse. In fact, for the men, I wrote a book called Break Every Chain. Lessons every father should teach his son about life, love, and relationships. If you don't have a father, you eventually got to make your way to God. You have to make your way to God. And this should be a prerequisite for dating, ladies. You have to have this conversation with men to find out what he knows. If he doesn't know God, he's not going to know himself. That means he won't know how to be a husband. He won't know how to be a father. He won't know how to be a friend. He won't know how to be any of the things that you're actually looking for.
Wow.
But a lot of women, unfortunately, they fall for handsome and fit and funny and charismatic and big personality.
Right.
How do I know? I'm speaking from personal experience. And, I mean, y'all met my brother Milton. This guy's, big, all of the things I just mentioned. Big personality, fit, good look, all of that stuff. And you know what I'm saying? You have to make sure that there's more to him on the inside. And you can do this over a phone call, ladies. This is the danger that ladies get into, is they don't ask the right questions and they wait too late to ask the right questions. They find out, oh, he's not led by God when she's pregnant. It's like, girl, you waited way too late. Matter of fact, you got to screen this guy before he even gets your phone number. You can tell, ladies, the way he talks to you, the way he looks in your eyes, his body language, the way he dresses, all the red flags are there. Because if I'm sitting over on the side and I see a guy back into a woman, in my mind, I'm like, girl, run. Can't you see the way he's lusting over you? He don't know nothing about you. He's just all over you. Run, girl. But they get trapped in falling for that. And as a coach, my job is to help them understand what's happening to them. No matter what your age is, anytime a man approaches you, he's leading you. He's leading you somewhere. Wow. Some of you have only been led to the bedroom. A lot of women say, I don't need leadership. These are the same women with babies out of wedlock. Women who have multiple sex partners. Women who can't understand why men won't propose. You need, not even leadership, you need godly leadership because you're being led. Every time you're being led. That's hey, good. Shorty, put my number in your phone. That's leadership.
That's good.
And me personally, I always test to see if a woman is going to follow my leadership. That's how I know if I'm going to go far with you. My fiance, for example, I saw her. It was by the grace of God that we connected. She was getting ready to leave, and she had one foot off the curb. And I was like, you. I said, we were at a festival. Y'all know about Dance Africa? Yeah. Okay, we were at Dance Africa, and she had an afro at the time. So she just really stood out to me, had the same blonde hair color. I was like, you. She goes, yeah. I said, did you get your picture taken by any chance? She was like, yes, I did. I said, good, because you're so beautiful, they definitely need to capture all of that. This is me running game. This is me running game on her, you know what I'm saying? And so y'all are probably like, what is he gonna say next? That's what happens. You know, I'm counting on personality and sense of humor and charm and finesse to really get her guards to come down. But it's important for a woman to be paying attention this entire time. I'm testing her because she has about 2 minutes of my time before I move on. So I'm like, where you going? She said, I'm going home. I said, it's only 8 o'clock. She said, I'm tired. I said, well, listen, put my number in your phone because I want to see you again. And she did it. She passed the test. I'm trying to see if she's going to follow through with where I'm leading her. Then I'm like, you know what? We started texting. I said, when are you available? This was a Monday. Dance Africa was on a Monday. I know Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I said, when are you available? She said, Tuesday. I said, all right, so I'll see you tomorrow. She's like, okay. So we go. Date the next day, she's on time. I'm like, oh my God, she's doing everything right. She's doing everything right. Showed up on time, looking good and all of this stuff. Then she did something that no woman has ever done before. So I met her on Monday, took her out on a date on Tuesday. On Wednesday, she did something that a woman had never done before. She reciprocated. She asked me to go out somewhere. Okay. I said, look at
so
God.
How many times had that happened before? With
reciprocation?
Yeah.
Listen, most women think that dating is about them. They think, oh, he approached me. He found me. He's trying to treat me to drinks and a meal. No. I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to do 3 things. I'm trying to show you who I am. Number 2, I'm trying to see who you are. And most importantly, number 3, I'm trying to see if and how you fit into my life, which is why I recommend a buffer date. And they probably wonder, what's a buffer date?
I'm really paying attention, all the singles specifically, because I've been out of the dating scene for over a decade now. But everything he's saying is the same stuff I used to do. It's the same thing. And I want you guys to all listen and learn and really pay attention to how this may apply to you. Because it's important that you, like he said, ladies especially pay attention to what a man might be looking for, a good man especially, right?
Yeah. If a woman is not paying attention, that's like a man's playground. And that's what men talk about. They're like, yo, I can't believe she came straight to the, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They can't believe it because they know, and they call this getting lucky. When a woman does something foolish, we call that getting lucky because we know we got her for cheap.
Wow.
We know we got her for way less than she's worth. Wow. Even if a woman gives it up for $10,000, that's cheap. That's cheap. We getting a deal. $10,000, that's it for you to give me access to you? That's cheap.
That's right.
So
this actually leads into the question I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So before you go in, for single women, what are some of the most common mistakes you have seen them do when dating or searching for a husband?
The most common thing I would say I see single women do is they are reactive when it comes to dating, not proactive. So most women, they're sitting around. I heard you mention Boaz. Most women are single and sitting around waiting for their Boaz.
Yes.
Instead of going out to find their Boaz. And so while they're sitting around waiting, Boaz, first of all, he never comes because Boaz, he's just working. Was that?
He doesn't know where to find you.
No. Boaz, let me explain Boaz. Boaz is everything you dreamed of. Boaz knows where to find you. You don't want Boaz to come find you because if Boaz comes and find you, he's going to play with you. That's what happens. When men get up to a certain level, they go Memorial Week in Miami. They go to play. They know where to find you. Scratch that from your list of things holding you back, ladies. We know where to find you. When I came into this church, I did a sweet See, even though I'm engaged, I still do a sweep. I'm a man. I do a sweep. See who's in the room. I know each and every one of your faces. I already did a full sweep. So a lot of women, they wait for Boaz to show up. And while they're waiting, first of all, Boaz never comes. If he comes, he's not coming to be serious. He's coming to play.
And why is that?
Boaz knows his value.
That's good.
Boaz knows how valuable he is. How do I know? When I go out, I call up some of my best Confederates, and we roll together. We have an agenda. The agenda is never marriage. I can promise you that. The agenda is never marriage. So wherever you show up, because most women, they dress up, they get the makeup, hair done, all that stuff, they dressing up thinking, this is my chance. I got to position myself, and I'm going to get here, and this going to be, they showing up to places where dudes not even looking for wives.
And so you're never going to find Boaz in that environment.
Not in that environment. So the most common thing that I see with single women is they wait for Boaz to show up. And what happens is they end up meeting his distant cousins. Dumbass, broke ass, drunk ass, and sometimes beat your ass. Y'all stay away from him, ladies. Stay away from that one. And so what I encourage is women being proactive. So I have a coaching program. Well, I have a e-course called Learn How to Attract Your Ideal Mate in just 14 days. The way I show single women how to attract the ideal mate is first, you have to decide, make a decision in your mind, the type of man that you want. Example, I know for a fact that I want to marry a woman who is 100% natural. That eliminates so many places for me to go to find her. I'm not going to find her in a nail salon. I'm not going to find her in a weave shop. I'm not going to find her in Sephora. No. I'm going to find her where they sell 100% shea butters. I know to go to the produce aisle to find her, not the frozen section. I know, and so as easy as I just showed y'all, I could find my ideal mate in 30 seconds, y'all could do the same thing. What kind of food does he eat? Does he eat vegetables? He's got to shop. Oh, he might not be at the grocery store. Does your ideal mate shop at the grocery store? You have to decide who you want. What does he drink? Does he drink coffee? Does he drink tea? You know, does he wear designer clothes? Does he shop at Target? Once you decide the type of man that you want, you'll know exactly where to go to position yourself. No matter what day of the week, no matter what time of day, there will be several ideal mates there for you to choose from. So I recommend not being reactive, sitting around waiting. Go after what you want. You don't have to say, hey, my name is such and such. Take my number, let's start dating. No, position yourself, because this is what you're looking for, ladies. You want him to see you and take action, the way I did with my fiance. She didn't say nothing to me. She didn't even know I existed. I said, you! I stopped her, and I gave her seconds to respond. I needed her to immediately see me and decide, that's my type of man. That's what I was looking for. I needed her to make a decision quick about me. So when you show up and you go to, let's say you go to Whole Foods, and you go in the produce section.
Yes.
All you gotta do is go near him. That's it. You can go near him, and if you feeling yourself a little bit, you could smile at him.
Right. That's right.
You
talked about that at the relationship conference. Remember that?
You make eye contact. You can even go a little further, be like, hello, how you doing? Or, listen, another thing you could do. I mean, he has his stuff in the shopping cart. Oh, I see you about to do a little cooking. I bet your wife loves that, doesn't she? So, within seconds, within seconds,
Yeah.
you're forcing him to respond. He's either going to try to finesse his way out to answer the question, which gives you the information, do not move forward, or he's going to say, oh, I'm not married, but I do love to cook. But I do see you have vegetables in your shopping cart too. I'm sure your husband loves that. Now you got a little friendly, flirtatious banter going on, and you're feeling like there's a little bit of chemistry, and you go, I'm actually not I'm actually not married. But I just figured since you have vegetables and I have, fish and shrimp, I figured maybe we can, you start finagling your way. What you're trying to do is just get a response out of him.
Right.
And I think a lot of women are afraid to get responses. That's why they don't put it out there. I want to be married. I want to have children. I don't want to have children out of wedlock. They're afraid that the man is going to say, I'm not with that. They're afraid to say, I'm Christian, because they're afraid the guy's going to be like, oh, I don't know if or they're afraid to say, I'm abstaining until marriage, because they're afraid that the guy won't be with it. But that information is what you need to make the decision about moving forward. You need him to tell you, I can't wait until marriage. You need that answer to cut him off. You need him to tell you he's not Christian. You need him to tell you that he's not interested in marriage and having children, because that's evidence that he's not your ideal mate.
Wow. This is good or what? All right, I'm gonna have one more question, and then I'll probably see if we can get a question from the room. Is that all right? On Twitter, you said that there are 3 C's a woman should look for in a mate. I don't want to say what they are because I liked it, but I had wanted you to explain it. So can you explain a little bit more? What are the 3 C's that a woman should look for in a mate?
So the 3 C's are consistency, compatibility, and clarity. What I've noticed in my studies, observations, and experience is that women hustle backwards. They find a small dose of energy exchange, and they're confused about what that is. This is where men excel, your confusion. When a woman's confused, this is where he thrives. I can tell if a woman is confused upon sight.
Wow.
A woman wearing a weave, for me, is a state of confusion. Now, she doesn't have to notice about herself. That's my prerogative. That's my privilege. Me knowing that she's confused, I get to play. What that tells me, just so example, that tells me you're not comfortable. Whether it's true or not, that's telling me you're not comfortable. So if you're not comfortable, I have a window to slide in to provide comfort.
Wow.
Right? And a lot of women don't understand the energy that they're putting out. The fake lashes.
And it's not even they're conscious. It's not that women, people are conscious of it. They just
they don't understand themselves. And when people don't understand themselves, the first thing they do is they do something outward. A tattoo, new hairstyle, new makeup, new clothes, furry shoes. All of these different outward expressions let me know so much about who you are. All I have to do is decide, am I in the mood to play with her or not? All right, I'm going to leave her alone. I'm going to leave her alone this time. But if I'm in the mood to play, if I'm single and I'm out there playing, I look for the woman with all these outward signs that's letting me know she's insecure, she lacks confidence, she didn't have leadership. Because I know what it looks like when a woman does have leadership. The woman who has leadership, these are the hardest to infiltrate.
That's right.
The women who honor the leadership, it's so hard. It's so hard. It's like, I'm going to leave her alone. Take, for example, let's say we got Lil' Kim over here. Y'all know Lil' Kim, right? Put Lil' Kim over here. Put Michelle Obama over here. If I'm in the mood to play, I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna wait to approach her when I'm serious.
Wow.
I'm gonna wait. I don't have enough money to afford her. I don't need money for her.
Wow.
I need to be mature, spiritually mature to deal with her. I need to have material things to deal with her. There's certain levels that I have to be at to even get an introduction with that woman. I just need to wear the right thing to get her attention. And a lot of women don't realize how they're showing up. And this is why they're not able to attract Barack Obamas. They attract an Offset.
Wow.
They attract guys like Offset because of the energy that they're putting out. And so, back to the 3 C's. Back to the 3 C's. Consistency, compatibility, and clarity. If a man is inconsistent and you match that with he's not clear, he doesn't have a vision or a plan, that should equal we're incompatible.
Yep.
Some women, they'll get with the guy. He's inconsistent. I mean, he's consistently inconsistent. And he's showing you that he does not have a plan. Y'all been there, ladies. Where you want to go eat? Where you want to go on the next date? It's like, dude, you can't even plan that?
Wow.
That's evidence right there, but it just goes over a lot of women's head. I'm like, this dude can't even lead you to the store.
Jeez.
He can't even create a plan for the next weekend. But this is the man you want to marry and have children with? Crazy. So 3 C's, ladies.
Y'all writing this down, ladies? Okay.
3 C's, ladies. Consistency, and this is all you need to know. You can find this out in a week. Now, I'm being generous with a week. Some of you ladies are in relationship for months and years, and I'm just like, she must be a glutton for punishment. Because I'm looking at the dude, and I can see on his social media is inconsistent. He don't even post every day. Look for consistency. Look for clarity. And if he doesn't have those 2 things, he doesn't qualify for the 3rd thing, which is compatibility. If you're not compatible with someone, they don't qualify for a date. They don't even qualify for your phone number, but sometimes you need a person's phone number to at least get on the phone with them and see that they're full of it. But some women are just so hungry, not hungry for God. They hungry for a meal. They hungry for a meal. Yeah. So a guy like me, like quality men got to be careful. Mm-hmm. Because if I were to offer a random woman, hey, you want to go out for dinner and drinks? They'd be like, I sure do. They'll take advantage of it, even if we're not compatible.
Wow. Even
if I haven't evidenced any consistency. Even if I don't offer her any clarity, she'll jump at the opportunity for a free meal. I know men who will take advantage of that.
That's right.
And I don't even understand what they're doing. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Why are you taking out for meals like this? Why are you taking out for experiences like this? They said, because when I do that, I don't have to do anything else. So if you start off with that, here's what it normally looks like. I'm sure you ladies have experienced this before. A guy will shower you in the beginning. Wonderful dating experience. You ain't got to pay for nothing, and you're thinking, I deserve this. You're telling yourself, I deserve it. And then you start to see it slows down, and it stops. He's inconsistent. He can't sustain it. He was trying to love bomb you and shower you with all the things that he thought you wanted to confuse you even further. Because he saw from the beginning the type of woman that you were. When he took you out on date number 1, and then there was no reciprocity on date number 2. Don't answer, but how many of you ladies have done that? Mm-hmm. No date number 2. Date number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is on the man. The man is paying attention. This woman does not reciprocate. Oh my God. I bought the movie ticket. She ain't buy the popcorn. Nothing. She don't ever reciprocate. A lot of women, they think that, oh, this is the man's job.
That's his job.
That's not my job.
Yeah.
That's extra. Take you to the movies, that's extra. And what women need to understand is that it's okay to do extra for someone who's doing extra for you. And so if you're not doing extra, a lot of men don't know any better.
And extra is not sextra. Right?
Oh no, I'll get to that in just like. There are some men who will just continue to do extra for a woman without reciprocity, and that's not wisdom. That's not wisdom. He doesn't know any better himself.
Amen.
And so some women will just take advantage of it. And I look at the guy and I'm like, oh, he's 33. I got to pray for him. He's above the training mark, the mentorship mark, and accountability. I just got to pray for him. He'll get it eventually. Praise God, pray for him. But when I talk about extra, I'm talking about him offering value, because there can be no relationship if there's not a value exchange. And value depends on the person. So if you're a vegetarian and I say, hey, man, this was a great service. Why don't we go over to Ruth Chris, have a nice steak on me? That's not value to you. I need to understand what's valuable to you.
Yeah.
And so you need to understand, this is where the phone call comes in. When you get, ladies, when you get a guy's number, before the date, on that phone call, you need to be trying to figure out what his values are. Because if you don't understand what his values are, he's going to assume that sex is the equivalent to value. And this is where a lot of women drop the ball. Because on the first date, they're like, oh, man, he took me out, drinks and a meal. The least I could do is sleep with him. Right. And it's like, no, you could come back the next day and offer him what he offered you. And that's an equal exchange of value.
Wow.
But on that phone call, you need to understand what's on the table. Again, this is what a lot of women are afraid to do. They're afraid to talk about what's on the table because a lot of them don't have anything to bring to the table. And this is not to insult anyone. This is about communicating, because before I got here, him and I had to have a conversation about value. And I wouldn't be here if he didn't see value. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have come here if I didn't see value. There was a mutual respect, mutual understanding. Everybody's clear on what's happening. So now I can come to the table and we can enjoy one another and offer value to each other. In the event of a man and a woman, when you meet, the whole purpose is to see where the value is. What is the value here?
You have to know it.
Some people won't make it to a date. I've had that happen several times. I get a person's phone number and I talk to them and see where their head's at. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, it was nice meeting you. I'll see you around the gym. And it never goes any further because I value my time too much to invest further in someone who's not willing to exchange value with me. And you'll find that when you talk to a person on the phone long enough, they'll tell you what they're not going to do. They'll tell you what value they're not going to exchange.
Yeah.
Both parties will eventually be exposed, especially if you're asking the right questions. But people who haven't figured out what their purpose is, they've got a lot of time. And when you have a lot of time, you don't care about the answers to those questions. Because me personally, if somebody said to me, hey, I want to take you out to Ruth Chris, I say, for what? I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
I'm not, for what? You're asking me to take time away from my son, away from my fiance, away from my business, away from working out, my purpose. What do you want? But people who don't have any purpose, they'll say, what time? They ain't got nothing else to do.
Nothing else to do. Yeah.
They haven't connected with God to figure out what their purpose is yet.
Wow.
So they're willing to go on all of these adventures and journeys. Lost.
So the most important thing a person should have established in their own life before dating or looking for the one is to have an understanding of their purpose and their value, right? To know when I do meet a person, my personal value system should help be almost like a GPS, where if I meet someone or someone meets me, they'll know whether or not, if this is the right direction to take or not, right? Because every time you meet someone, you're investing. You're investing time, you're investing money, you're investing whatever else you have to bring. Now, if you don't know that you have anything worth investing, then you will waste that investment.
That's the key. And I don't want to jump ahead to one of your questions, but I do want to talk about how I realized my fiance was the person that I wanted to marry.
You ain't jumping. That's the last question. So here we go.
So,
how did you know your fiance was the one?
So, I want everybody to know that when you meet someone that you're getting ready to invest in full time for the rest of your life, it has more to do with you than it has to do with them. So, before I came to that point where I met her, I was already the type of person who valued relationships and marriage. In fact, 5 months prior, I had proposed to another woman. The reason why that didn't work out is because I realized she wasn't spiritually mature enough to be with me.
Wow.
But what I also realized was I wasn't spiritually mature enough to be with anyone. Wow. And so I took some time to mourn that relationship and grieve and realize what it is I was doing. And I was able to learn more about myself and grow spiritually. And so I was on a spiritual journey. And she just happened to be on the path that I was on. She was on a spiritual journey herself. And for that reason, we were able to decide to walk together. If I wasn't on my spiritual journey, I probably wouldn't have met her that day in that way. If she wasn't on her spiritual journey, she probably wouldn't have met me. If I would have met her and I discovered that she was not ready to grow spiritually, I would not have continued moving forward. But every day since I've met her, we've always worked to grow spiritually. And that's what I love about her.
Wow. Amen. So good. All right, so listen, I want to let anyone, if anyone has a question, if you want to throw it out, raise your hands really quickly, and I want to hear from you. There's so much that was said yes. So we got one question in the back. So I can get some help if somebody can just, thanks, Drew. Okay, I see 3 hands. So as a matter of fact, those of you that I want to ask the question, I'd like for you guys to stand, and so they can see who is who.
Okay, my question is, are men truly quality if they still choose to play around with women?
Ooh.
Are men truly quality?
Are they still quality men if they have the option and choose to play? Because you mentioned, he's not really looking for a wife, he just wants to play. So is he really still a quality man if he can make the decision to want to play? I want to play right now, but I'm going to find a wife later. You know?
Okay. So when you say, I think I hear what you're saying. Are we trying to tap into this whole high value, the definition of the high value man? When you say quality?
I just use the word quality because that's what you use.
Okay, so thank you for your question. I will talk about quality and this whole high value. I've heard about the high value stuff going on. So you ladies get to decide what quality is and what high value is. For example, if you are a mother of 5, you were widowed, and then a man comes into your life and he offers aid to you and your children, but he only makes $50,000 a year, that man is high value. That man is quality. And then if you get a rich man who's not willing to give you a dime, even though he's rich, he's fit, he's good looking, his value is not very high because he's not adding any of the value to you. So therefore, he's not really quality. You're asking a different question. Your question is not about quality. Your question is about character and integrity. You have to decide if lack of character and low integrity is compatible with you. So once you decide, I don't want to be with the man with poor character. I don't want to be with the man who doesn't have integrity. I don't want to be with the man who doesn't have a vision and a plan. All you have to do is get that information and have the strength to not collect $200, do not pass go, pick the man up, and throw the whole man away as soon as you come across a man like that. So it's not for me to decide. And now you see what she just did? She asked me if he's quality. I'm going to ask you. Is he quality? That's not my man. Right, and this is where the whole accountability stuff comes in. How am I going to hold him accountable? You hold him accountable. You need to, because here's how I hold him accountable. And this is what you ladies need to do. He can't access me. Men with low integrity, poor character, they can't access me. The moment I realize you're cheating on your wife, we're not doing business. You're not hanging around me and my friends and my son influencing us. No.
That's good.
That's how I hold them accountable. Most women want us to get a room full of men and preach to them. That's not how we learn. I personally would never sign up for anything like that. I would never purchase a ticket for anything like that. I wouldn't read a book about that. That's not how I like to learn. Show me. This is what I love about him. When I look at him, when I look at his eyes, I'm a very good judge of character, by the way. When I look him in his eyes, I see good. I see honesty, I see integrity, I see character. And that makes me want to associate more closely with him. And you ladies have to be able to do that. You have to be able to look in a man's eyes and see how he's carrying himself and be able to discern, is this a man? And y'all get that feeling too. Y'all get the feeling. Y'all say this, ooh, you're going to be trouble. That's what y'all say. Y'all know it, but y'all still move forward. Y'all know what's happening. You see that he's going to be trouble. You know he's going to be a headache. Me personally, when I see a woman that I know is going to be a headache, I make a decision. Am I willing to play this game? If I know this woman is going to be danger, a headache, or something like that, I know I have a compartment just for her. I know I'm not going to introduce her to my family. There's no Thanksgiving, there's no Christmas, there's no potential relationship, there's no engagement, none of that. I've compartmentalized. I have a special place just for her. Ladies don't do that. Right. They treat the dangerous guy as if he's potential. I'm like, no. Put him in the compartment and keep him there. And that's the danger for a lot of women. You have to make the decision for yourself. Don't look to me. You're a coach, ain't you? That's Jesus' job. I'm gonna lift that man up in prayer. Yeah.
Oh, you're a pastor. They'll do the same thing. Oh yeah,
I'll put it on the pastor. I'll be like, hey, why don't you go talk to Pastor Vernel? He gonna bless your whole series.
No, but that's so good. I think it's important that you realize a man. You said two things. First, a man. You know a man by his actions, not his words. And then B, you can also know him by the associates, who he associates himself with, right? Because ultimately, like you said, if you know a person, their character, I'm not going to associate myself with people of certain character because of the way I am, right? And so you have to know a man, know his friends, who he hangs out with, and judge him by his actions, and that'll give away a lot of things. All right, good question. So we make our way around the room, and then we're going to end with Jeff.
I know it's he that find it, but I feel as though a lot of men are afraid to approach women. So, do men find it disrespectful a lot of times when women approach them?
Ooh.
Let me. That's a great question. That's a great question.
That's good.
I actually made a post. I made a post about that recently. It went viral. I was telling the ladies that a lot of women think that he who finds a wife means that we're supposed to be going out looking and searching for you. No. What I've interpreted that to mean is I'll know you're a wife when I meet you. So that means if you're not a wife, you're not going to be the good thing, even though I found you. I could find you at the bar, and I'll know immediately if you're a good thing or not. So God will be telling me, see, this is the thing y'all need to know. Men are connected to God, whether they're fully submitting or not. We hear God, When we get to the bar and we see you, we be like, I hear you, God. You say, don't marry her. Okay. And then he puts his earplugs in. He said, I heard, don't marry her. But he didn't say, I can't enjoy her right now. So we're not afraid. And this is the other thing. You have to categorize men. There's low value, average, high value, and then there's elite. A low value man might be afraid to approach a woman because he has low education, low income, low self-esteem, probably don't even have a place to live. Of course he's going to be afraid to approach you. The average man who's doing a little bit better, bachelor's degree, he's educated a little further along in career, he's not as intimidated. So he's more likely to approach you. But here's the thing about approaching a woman, ladies. We approach when it's something that we want. So if I'm a single man and I came into this church and I don't approach you, I'm not intimidated. I'm not afraid. It's not that I didn't see you. I'm not interested. And this is something that some women, is hard to grasp for them. They're like, well, maybe if I go a little closer. I'm like, no, I saw you. Because if you get closer, I'm going to play with you. If you get closer, now okay, you're forcing my hand. You're forcing my hand. I saw you. I didn't say anything. And here you go pushing the issue. All right, fine. Let's do this. See how long it goes. So, again, ladies, you have to.
So should a lady wait for him to take initiative or leadership, or should a woman initiate the connection?
I always encourage initiation, but in this way, 3 ways. Smile, make eye contact, and say hello. That's it. That's the only that's the only thing you have to do. Because most men, it's not that we're intimidated, we want permission.
Permission, yeah.
We want to feel welcome and invited. We're in a Me Too movement. Everything is harassment. You walk up to a woman and compliment her, try to talk to her, it's harassment. So what I need you to do is let me know that you see me by looking me directly in my eyes, smile at me to let me know that you're a happy person and that you're positive and in a good mood, and say hello. That's inviting me into the conversation. If I'm a leader, I'm going to take that information and I'm going to take it from there. You won't have to do anything else. I've got it. All I needed was access. That's why you see sometimes men are staring at you. Raise your hand if you ever experienced a man staring at you. And you're like, oh my God, why won't he say it? Why won't he? What is he doing? What's going on? He's staring at you because he's waiting for permission. You're lucky he didn't approach you. You should be happy he didn't approach you. He's staring because he's looking for you to look back. And you're trying your hardest not to make eye contact because you know eye contact has power. As soon as you give him eye contact, oh my God, here he comes. God, oh my goodness. The same works in reverse. If you're interested, make eye contact. What happens is when a woman is interested, she's the one who's intimidated. When it's a high value man, she's actually the one who's intimidated. This happened to me several times where I later have, I couldn't take it anymore. So I approached the woman and then we had a conversation. She was like, I saw you several times. I'm like, well, why did you ever say anything? Oh, I don't know. I'm just this and that. And it's like, we could have gotten this going a long time ago if you'd have just looked me in my eyes. Every time I look at you, you will be looking at the ground and stuff like that. You won't smile. You're acting like you're angry or something like that. Yeah. But the reality of it was they were afraid to connect with me because they realized, based off of the energy that I was giving them, that they would have to exchange something with me. Yeah. Because I'm smiling at everybody. Hey, how you doing? Smiling at everybody. Some people, you can't even understand it. You show up with your bright sunshine and your smiles and your laughter, and people are still angry because they're afraid that if you make them laugh, they're going to have to enjoy the joy with you. They're going to have to reciprocate and exchange that value. So, ladies, men are not intimidated. First thing, you have to decide the level of the man you want. Let's say you want a high value man. This man is eloquent, he's educated, he's well spoken, he's in all of the high level events and stuff like that. He knows how to talk to women. He knows how to approach a woman. Some of these ladies are shopping in low level places. That's why they're running into all of these problems. Like, oh, men don't talk to women anymore. Yes, they do. Yeah. Men who ain't got a place to live, maybe. Maybe men who don't have any money. Men who don't have the intellect, they're probably intimidated, and I don't blame them. They see you. They see how valuable you are. You don't think they can see how valuable you are when they look at you? They're like, oh, man, she's something. I don't know if she want a man like me. As soon as you get that energy, you should say, we're not compatible. That's it, and walk away.
So, ladies, it's okay, but it's the way you do it, right? It's the way you do it. I think we have two more. Make our way down. What time is it?
Hello. You mentioned 33 being the grand old age for when a man should seek God for guidance. Is it on?
Sorry. Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah. You mentioned 33 being like the grand age that men should start seeking guidance as far as leadership or whatever it was, right? And what stuck out to me the most was, shouldn't you be seeking guidance from God before then?
Absolutely.
Because if you're looking from guidance from your father and your forefathers who were broke ass, beat your ass, and all those other things you said, then that's just not going to cut it for you to be a high quality man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So my question is, when does that come? Because it can't just be 33 be the grand old age where you figure out like, okay, I need to start looking to God. It has to be way before then. Because this is church, is it not?
Yes. Great question. And I want to clarify that it's not at the age of 33 that a man should start seeking God. What I'm saying to you is when you meet a man who's 33 and he still hasn't found God, you have to say, who cares? I'm going to pray for you. You understand what I'm saying? What you want is a man who had the training from 0 to 18, the mentorship from 18 to 25, and the accountability from 25 to 32. From his father, from God, from mentors, from teachers, from coaches. But this is where you want to start asking questions and getting information. That's the whole purpose of the phone call before the date. Y'all are probably on the phone fraternizing about stuff that don't even matter. You get on a date and he starts to lower your guards with jokes and charm and all of this stuff. Next thing you know, you're back at his place and you forgot to ask the questions. The most important question is, what's your relationship with God? I have a dating manual. It's called Dating Manual for Single Women, 30 Steps to Take Before a First Date. And I want all of you ladies to get this for free. I have a free digital copy for all of you ladies to access. And so thank you. In this book, one of the questions or one of the things to look for, one of the tips, is to make sure that you share the same faith. Because this will give you information about how he leads. For example, you might meet a man who's Buddhist. You say, I don't want to date a man who's Buddhist. You might find a man who's Muslim. You need to find this out before the date. Don't waste your time or his time. Find out where his leadership came from. If a man says, I'm Christian, all right, and we can keep talking. If that's your faith. If he says, I don't believe in God, no date. No date. You understand that? So it doesn't matter. It's not about him being 33 and needing a place to go to find God. If you meet a man who needs a place to find God, say, hey, come on down to Hungry for God. Right? But don't date him.
Amen. That's good. All right, last two questions. You guys learning anything? Learning? All right, last two.
If you're a woman of high value and you come into a contact with a man that has high value, but you had an abusive father, how do you properly receive love from that man?
That's an excellent question. She said, if you're a high value woman and you come across a man who's a high value man, but the woman has experienced abuse from her father and hasn't healed from that, how does she move forward? Is that correct? Okay. Thank you for your question. I actually just finished, I have an e-course. It's called Learn How to Attract Your Ideal Mate in Just 14 Days. And what I like to do is I like to write out what I'm saying in my videos. So I just happened to recently make a video about this, so I'm able to answer it more clearly. And one of the things that's important, it doesn't matter low value, average, high value. In order for a person to be empathetic and help you through that, they have to care. They have to care about themselves and they have to care about you. And you have to test this. You can test this in small ways. You can test, does he show up on time? Is he a man of his word? Is he accountable? Did he do what he said he was going to do? Does he have kids? Does he see his kids? How often? Does he take care of them? There's so many things. If you get all this information about him and you see that he's neglecting himself, there's no way he's going to be able to help you through your emotional baggage. That makes sense? So it doesn't matter. And this is where we have to really define what high value is to you. Because if you're in that situation where you're experiencing trauma, childhood trauma or any type of trauma, and for you need someone who's going to help you through that, that needs to be at the top of your list when you're screening men to date. And this should be the prerequisite to figure out if you should move forward with this guy. If you say, oh man, I'm really feeling emotional today. And he's like, well, listen, why don't you call one of your girls? Don't you have any sisters you could talk to? Where's your mom? I mean, why don't you call BetterHelp. If they do all of those things, that's evidence. When you're getting to know a guy, you need to be collecting information, data, evidence that will prove to you that he's worthy of your time. If he's not patient, empathetic, or sympathetic and willing to help you through things, that's all the information you need to stop. That makes sense?
Awesome. Yeah. All right, last question.
I don't need money.
Oh yeah, we need it.
Jeffrey.
No, we need it. Hold on. We need it for online. Thank you. For the viewers.
All right, my name is Jeffrey. I'm a member of the church, I'm a pastor. You said a question about as a child, right? You said we have to have a mentor from 0 to a certain age. What if you didn't have a mentor at all, or a father, or nobody to guide you? Where should you go from there as a man?
Yeah.
If you did not have a father, uncle, brother, friend, that is no excuse. Every man and woman is responsible for their own personal relationship with God, no matter what your age is. 0 to 18, that's training mode right there. 18 to 25, that's the mentorship. 25 to 32, that's the accountability. Throughout all of those ages, I just told this to my son and nephews. Two of my nephews spent the night this weekend, and I was telling them, they have to have their own relationship with God. Like, we can pray together and all of that stuff. That's cool. Watch church all together. Y'all got to have y'all own relationship with God. No matter what you're getting from me as an uncle, I'm always there for them. But I'm not your God. You need a God in your life, not just an uncle. So everybody eventually has to seek God. And no one can say they don't know that God exists. We hear about God every day. You have to make a choice. Am I willing to investigate who God is?
All right, but to one of my questions too is like, how about everybody that you did put your trust in died in front of you? You didn't have a chance to really know them, to get taught this about God, because your mindset was that God's taking everybody from me. Mm-hmm. So why would I have a mentor to guide me?
I would say because I can feel and hear in your voice that this is painful for you. And it's all right. It's all right. I want you to forgive yourself. And then I want you to forgive all of those people. This is something that I've personally done for myself. I love journaling. I love writing things down. I'll write down pain points, and then I'll go burn it.
Wow.
And when I burn it, that's me releasing it. saying, Dad, I forgive you. Stepdad, I forgive you. My stepdad, when my father died when I was 1. And I remember when I was 9 years old, first of all, my stepdad came into my life when I was about 3. And then he had my younger brother with my mom when I was 4. So he was the only father I knew. I didn't know anybody else. I'm calling this man Dad. Man, one day I left my nunchucks over his mother's house. Some handmade nunchucks. They meant a lot to me. And so my mother and him were going through something, and they separated. He went to go stay with his mother. So I went over there to retrieve my nunchucks, and he happened to be going in the door at the same time as I was. And he was like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "I left my nunchucks at Grandma's house." And he was like, "Don't come around here anymore, and don't call me Daddy." I was 9 years old.
Wow.
That hurt. I told my mom. She told his sister, and they all got on him. But even at 9 years old, I was able to hold this man accountable. And here's how I did it. I forgave him at 9. I knew that it had nothing to do with me. I knew he was going through something. And so I said, I'm going to forgive him. A couple years later, he comes back into our lives. He's like, "Hey, Cheyenne, I'm going to be around for a while. You can call me Dad." Here's where the accountability came in. I never called him Dad again. I called him by his first name, and that was a reminder to him. Now, I forgave him. I released it. But that was a constant reminder that you ruined this. This wasn't me. I was a kid. This is going to be your accountability, your pain that you have to deal with. But for me, I was whole. I was good.
Right.
So I released it. And you have to release whoever you felt was supposed to be there for you. My stepdad was supposed to be there for me. He wasn't there for me. He wasn't there for my siblings. He was supposed to. That's what he signed up for. And he let us down. But I forgave him. And what happened was when I was about 12 years later, he passed away alone with his ID in his hand. Him and my mom had separated again. And he moved into his own place. He didn't tell my mom where he lived. Only my younger brother, his only child with my mom, knew where he lived. And so my mom was like, "I haven't heard from your dad in a couple of days. Something's not right." And so my younger brother brought them to where he lived, and they tried to get in. They had to call the fire department, and they found him in there deceased with his ID in his hand. He never had a chance he never took the time to make things right with me. I hadn't spoken to him in a while at this point, but I had released him years ago. So I was at peace with him passing, and I just said a prayer for him. So those people who were supposed to be in your life, the people who you felt abandoned by, or the people who just didn't deliver for you, you have to forgive them. Once you forgive them and release them, you'll start to feel yourself coming back to who you're supposed to be.
Amen.